Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Kathleen Wert in conjunction with her Cerulean Arts Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through June 29th. Hello, Kathleen.
Hello, Michael.
Thanks for being here tonight,
Yeah, you're welcome.
and congratulations on your first exhibition.
Yeah, my first solo, yes.
Yep, here with us. Well, tell us a bit about yourself and then the work.
Well, my I went to what was then the Philadelphia College of Art, um, in the uh, latter part of the 1960s. Um, Art then was in flux. Well, it always is, I guess, but there was a lot of stuff going on in pop art, op art, minimalism, and slowly figurative art was beginning to emerge. But um, the kind of training that we got was more focused on things that weren't seriously figurative. I mean, yes, we had life drawing classes and stuff like that, but um, so I bumbled through for a number of years, and then in about 2010 or so, like I started taking some courses at PAFA because I felt like my drawing just needed something, um, and it really helped me kind of gain a lot more confidence in what I wanted to do. Helped me sort of figure things out. Um, And so I took courses for a couple of years, and then I fell into James Toogood's watercolor. I'd been working in acrylics mostly. I didn't particularly enjoy working in oils. Acrylics were fine, but I always felt I was fighting the medium. Um, Watercolor was like a huge discovery for me. I didn't know you could do this kind of stuff with watercolor until I saw one of James's paintings at a show, and I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. The color was so deep, and so I started taking courses with him, and I took courses with him for a number of years, maybe about 3 or 4 years. Um, and it kind of never looked back. I mean, watercolor and drawing became what I felt uh, were the mediums that I that just helped me do what I wanted to do. So uh, that's kind of it.
So we're looking at one of your watercolors now.
Hmm.
So how do you come to your subjects?
It's kind of hit or miss. Um, I'm always like taking photographs with mostly my phone these days, um, of things that just sort of capture me visually. Um, and like I got thousands of them, and I just, when it's time to start another piece of work, I just start going through them. I don't set up still lifes or have any idea in mind. I just go through them until something kind of says like, take me," and then I start working on it. And I usually doubt it in the beginning. I'm like, this is like a really boring photograph. Why would I want to do this? Then when as I start working on it, it just begins to evolve into something that I'm like, oh yeah, that was the right reference. And then of course I make a lot of changes. I'm not trying to copy the photograph. It's just a start.
How do you work with them? Do you print them out or
Well, I print them out, but then I got an iPad, and so now I print them out mostly to work out how I'm going to transfer the drawing to the painting by, basically creating a graph on the print. And then I use my iPad um, to as my reference. And I can, if there's an area that I really need to like, what is going on there? And maybe I can see it, maybe I can't. But I can, I can zoom in on smaller pieces of the image, and so that works out really well. So I've got the print on the wall, and I've got my iPad, and there I go.
And there's a lot of sort of solitary roads and
Yeah.
lands in your work.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I think that reflects, I mean, I think the reason that how I pick how my brain chooses the images has a lot to do with what's probably going on in my life. It's been a very difficult number of years emotionally, a lot of things going on. Um, and I think that's what these works are um, kind of saying.
So are you trying to express something directly?
No, I don't look at it and say, oh, that expresses my mood or anything like that. I go absolutely by what just it's just kind of like something clicks and I don't question it. I say like, okay. And as long as the image has something interesting, you know, in the potential composition, the color, the shapes, whatever, as long as it looks like something that I can work with, then I'm like, okay, that's it. The rest of it just kind of evolves and the final product, and I'm like, whoa, yeah, okay. There it is.
I mean, the like our urban situation always seems to show up in your landscapes, like cars and power lines and lights and things.
Yeah, I mean, I a a true landscape of just nature doesn't seem to appeal to me right now. I mean, it appeals to me as far as experiencing it. I love to go out in the woods and hike and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the images that I seem to need to make, um, it just needs to be that urban aspect, even if it's not an urban area, but some of those roads are very rural actually. But they're roads, they're man-made things.
And this piece is called Afternoon Shadows Milan.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a photograph that goes back a little further before while I was still kind of finding my watercolor voice, but I just loved the image. I love the shadows and so, I actually worked on it off and on for a couple of years till I got it where I wanted it to be.
So do
So,
you have photos from your like international travels then too that you
oh
work with?
yeah, I do. I do. I kind of hesitate. Um, to use them because, you know, although they aren't like the classic tourists, it's not the Tower of Pisa with me pretending I'm like holding it, that kind of stuff. But they're clearly not from where I'm from. And I kind of hesitate because I don't want them to be like travel pictures. Although they probably would. There's a couple of images of Florence that I really someday I'm gonna make them because I love them so much, and there's something enough in common with the stuff I do that I think it would work. But it is also clearly, you know, a European town with European sensibility in that image. And it's I don't know. I mean, I just I sort of toy with that and then I sort of ignore it most of the time, except for that Milan one, which is not really a recognizable place probably for most people.
Mhm.
It was a little sort of in passing little spot. Um, so
So, and this is one of your graphic drawings.
hmm.
So you alternate between graphite and watercolor
Yeah.
in your,
Yeah, I usually have one of each going at the same time. Um, and that way, if I have to stop right now, I have a painting that's probably close to finished, but I'm not quite sure how I want to work further in it. I know it's not quite done. So I'm working on a drawing and then I just glance over at the painting from time to time or turn the painting upside down or sideways and like, okay, what is missing? You know, what do I need to do yet? But meanwhile, I've got this drawing to work on, so I've got something I can do.
Right. Some other outlet.
Yeah.
The texture is really amazing in this one.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, each painting is like I don't have a formula, but I sort of hope that there's something that challenges me each time that I haven't done before, maybe not in exactly the same way. So that texture was part of the challenge of that painting.
And you mentioned James Toogood, but are there other artists that you think about, like in that you feel an affinity with?
Uh, it's hard to say. I I I don't um I don't spend a lot of time looking at other artists. I love looking at other artists, but because of the way my life has been lately, time constraints, I really have not spent much time looking at other people's work. I can say that Allison Allison Sivenson's work is across the hall from mine right now.
Uh-huh.
Wash paintings really resonate with me. I love them.
Hmm.
They're beautiful. How she deals with the gouache is incredible. Um, but I at this point I really can't say that I'm influenced. I mean, James Too Good was like how I learned to manipulate the medium. I mean, that's what I got out of him was what you could do with watercolor. And I haven't, I mean, he does totally incredible stuff. And he's way beyond me in technique and everything, and his stuff is incredible. But um it was what I could pull out of his vast store of knowledge that drew me to him back and forth back to his classes for so many years.
So in your statement, you say there is emotional content to my work, but I do not try to analyze or explain.
Yeah.
So do you find that after the fact, like when you look back at a body of work or something you've
Yeah.
done,
I think I mean these days some of them there's a few that like almost right from the get-go I'm like okay I know what this one I know what's going on in my brain on this one. Um but a lot of times it sort of would surprise me. I was like wow, that looks very lonely or that looks very sort of ominous or you know it does surprise me a little bit. So I don't try to think. I don't try to think about like I need to make a painting that means this or means that. It's just comes out.
and are you using any like opaque material like body color or gouache in your work?
I actually occasionally that painting with the pumpkins, I actually ended up having to use gouache for the pumpkins.
Hmm.
Because I struggled with that one so much, and I was like, oh, okay, the only way to get that orange, that look is to try gouache. I haven't worked with gouache that much. I'm kind of tempted to explore a little more because it is a uh, an interesting variation on the water media. Um,
Hmm.
but um, but I also like the kind of transparency of the watercolor that lets you put layers in and the colors kind of show through and you know it's a different if it's a different look and
Right. And so do you find it tricky working with a photograph in terms of color?
Yeah, I mean, I don't try to imitate the color in the photograph. I try to use it as a suggestion. And then I just kind of go with it. So if you looked at the photographs that I was working for, you'd say like, well, that's pretty dull.
Yes.
And so but the sense of like this river one, um, there was a very, very, very blue look. There was a storm coming in on the water there, and there was this really intense blue, but I magnified it a lot. I mean, I emphasized it a lot more. So the photographs are kind of like um, just just the color suggestions, shall we say. Um, and
Yeah, well, and it changes depending on what kind of monitor you're looking at and when you print it out, what kind of printer you have, what kind of
Oh
paper you
yeah, so like
use.
it's yeah. I mean, I like I say, I'm not trying to replicate the photograph at all. I'm taking it as a starting point, and then I'm just like, you know, and same with the composition and the elements in the photograph that um a lot of them, if you looked at the photograph, you say like, well, that wasn't there, or where is that bit? And because I really um it, you'll be able to see that they relate, but um again, there's I do a lot of editing, I guess. When
Hmm.
image, I'm not wedded to the photograph at all. So like, you know, um
Well, I ask these things because I work from photographs and yeah, have a lot of the same
yeah,
issues and I really admire your work. So,
yeah, it's challenging, but it's also a lot easier than trying to go out in the world and work. I can't work plein air.
yeah,
Everything
it's not
changes
always
so fast. The light
practical.
changes, the weather changes. It's just it's just not. I'd rather sit in the studio and really be able to get into what I really want from the work, um, without
I know
the.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Um, Out here we have some of your graphite drawings.
Mm,
So, I mean, they're very different. I mean, they're very close up, and a
yeah.
lot of them are drapery studies. Can you talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, okay, the whole drapery thing started, and I say this a lot, but it is true. Uh, at the beginning of the COVID shutdown, um, I found a photograph I had taken of a pile of lace and fabric that I had given away. And I'd taken the photograph so that I could free cycle this big pile of stuff. And I looked at the photographs and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Well, I'll see what I can do. I don't, it looks too complicated for me, but I'll try it. And it came out. I mean, I worked on it for a long time, but I was surprised that I could do it. And then I was just like, wow, there's something about folds and the shadows in the folds and the weird logic of just random fabric piles, that just kind of uh, started something, and it became a kind of almost a meditation for me, a way to calm my brain down by just like delving into what was going on. It's something that looks chaotic, but actually had its own logic. Um, so that's where the fabric things come from, and I still find that I like that. And even the ones that aren't just fabric, like the one with the chair there, but there's a chair covered in fabric with folds and in fact both chairs, the one in the back also. Um, so it's using that same thing, but making it more of an interior than a close up.
It's a really wonderful show, Kathleen.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really pleased to have this opportunity, and it's kind of a surprise to see everything all on a wall together. Most
Right.
usually
Yep. It
just
definitely
stacked in a
looks
room, you know.
different.
So seeing it all together is kind of um interesting to me because I'm like it gives me a more of a sense of what I'm trying to do, I guess, or so it's valuable.
Yeah, when you see them all together outside of your space, you can be a little more objective about it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of a surprise. I was like, wow.
Mhm. And the show is up through June 29th. We hope people come down to see it. And everything's also available on our website, ceruleanarts.com. And thanks so much for being here, Kathleen, and have a great night.
You too. Thank you, Michael.